Wholeness. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Gigi. This is Gigi's House of Wellness. It's been a minute. I'm just going to go over briefly, I'm going to explain my strategy that I've been using with YouTube as I was actually focused on studying content creation and my other interests, but I've been just posting my Nipsey shorts and Tupac and other revolutionaries because I get a lot of views on those videos. I wanted to see how my subscription would go up, or the interaction. So that's been doing pretty good. I probably, by the time this video posts, I'll be at 600 subscribers, and I am grateful for you all and thankful. You get a little discouraged as a small creator, but with the help of YouTube, I've been looking at other videos and getting encouraged because the creator economy is really booming right now. And so I started in October. I did think that I was gonna already be monetized by now. And yet, of course, that's my goal because I am a multi-talented person, and also a lot of the work that I do is building, and it's not monetized. So anyway, today I am here to speak about death and the death work because I am a trained death doula, and people always ask exactly what that is. And I wanted to speak about how death in the 19th century became a business. After the Civil War, they were trying to come up with ways to preserve soldiers' bodies for them to be shipped or home, or in order for them to have service for them. And then it became a big business. At this point in the United States, we are, the death business is at 20 billion. And so we all seen the shady funeral homes and how you don't know where your family member might really be, where the body is. Well, our ancestors used to be the caretakers of the body. It would be more of a ceremony and a ritual of saying goodbye to the body and letting the spirit transition on, the soul, the self, move into the next form or reincarnation, whatever was believed. And so I got into this work because I was there when my father transitioned, and it was that actual energy exchange. And so we're not taught these things. And I look at death so much differently than a lot of people. And aging has been coming up in a lot of the conversations with people I have. And I look at this as such a different mindset, that this body is temporary and it isn't meant to be at its peak forever. It does deteriorate and it's temporary, but the self, the internal, is immortal, and we move on to the next. And so in my own practice, I've been coming up with new ways to expand my services as a death doula. So yeah, I was with a few people when their parents or someone close to them passed away, had to help them clean out stuff. I've done it just before I even knew about what a death doula was. But this is one way you can go as a death worker. By when someone's loved one passes away, people don't really have the time to go through things. There's people who are elder who will start getting rid of stuff as they age, because we accumulate so many materials in this life that people are holding on to. It's a time to let go. And that's another part of the business. They call it Swedish cleaning, and you're just helping people eliminate from material items and extra things. There's hoarders out there that just have been holding on to things for 50 plus years, and it's just time to let go and release and make room for your transition time. And so that's a way. When I was doing my death doula classes, there's a network, and they would always suggest, because I am a vegan chef, that I use that in my death doula work. So having nutritious meal support for families grieving is another way to go with this type of work. Where I am going to get into more is doing more of a ritual and going back to the ways of our ancestors when caring for the body, and not putting it in the hands of a business to profit off of your family in a time of grief. And so that is pretty much what moved me into this type of work. And what attracts me to this is because, just like birth, people go every day, and there's ways to like promote death work just by marketing it, branding it. What comes to my mind is people die every day, B, and that's that's not just a sad way to see it, but it's honest truth. And we can look at death as the final step, or we could look at it as a portion, just a temporary step in our journey, in a process, which it is. And it's moving from the body into the spiritual, into the unseen. And there's so many people that are afraid of death, but you cannot stop it, and afraid of aging, and you cannot hold on to your youth. And it's just a part of this process, this human experience. And we are all spirit having a human experience. And when we transition to the unseen, unknown, or if we reincarnate back to a new body, that's just what it is. And the process can't be stopped, but the death can be looked at more as a ceremony, rites of passage, and we can honor that ancestor and help them move into the next realm peacefully. So I would suggest maybe doing some sound healing with a family member who's transitioning over, or reading. Some people want to read the Bible, or they're hear certain affirmations in transition, and burning incense and herbs. There's just peaceful ways to, but a lot of times people don't just die peacefully. There's tragic deaths too, but you could still honor that person's in their passage, because we don't know when it's time, and when it's time, it is. And so I wanted to read about fear in my book, Acting with Honor as a King. I was going over some more content, and of course sovereignty is going to be in there, but when I read in this, it spoke to that part of the death. So let me find where I was reading. Okay. Wow. I didn't want to go into this fear, because it talks about just like the fear of being arrested, which is still a part of this, but this isn't not what this video is about today. So just like fearing death, there is no reason to, because it happens to everyone, and there's no way to predict when it will happen to you. If you let it, though, you could probably worry about death to the point that you couldn't function. But what good would that do? So why let fear dictate your actions if you can't predict the future? Live in the moment. Do not allow the future or the past to control what you do right now. No one can predict when the Grim Reaper is going to come knocking, so all you can do is live in the now and enjoy it. You only have one opportunity to this life. So it goes into talking about being triggered by police, and it's kind of forced upon us to be in fear. But keep in mind that your thoughts create your reality. Watch what you think. You might just get or create what you are dwelling on. Make your thoughts happy and rechannel your fear into courage. It is okay to have fear. Sometimes fear of death keeps us alive and even helps us to do things that we would normally never be able to do. But to let fear control you is to be out of control. And to be out of control is to be not be free. And freedom is another thing that I speak about on this channel. And I look at death as a part of our freedom. We are in bondage in these bodies, these earth suits that we have here temporarily, and just to experience this human body and human mind, but we are the immortal self. So if you know that, then you look at death differently. And that's just how some people are. There's people who fear death, fear aging, but yet you cannot stop it. And we also are kind of ingrained in our brainwashing to believe that every year on the day that we are born, we become older and older and older. So we, with our minds, become older because we agree with the aging and of the birthday and what it means, because that's really it's a trap and it's a spell. But I'm not going to get so deep into that. I want to go over some from my book, The Sovereign Self, and it speaks of death. And the one who knows that the self is indestructible consciousness does not suppress, but understands emotions. After a death in the family, it is common among Hindus to gather as a family of mourners over 10 days and nights, shed tears together, console each other, and at the same time imbibe wisdom of the immortal self from those who know of the Vedas. Baba was a knower himself, so he chanted from the Bhagavad Gita, which is said to contain the essence of all 108 Apashans, while the rest of us sat around him, wept, and comforted our fears, our hearts. Just like a person casts off his worn out clothes and puts on new ones, so also consciousness, the self, casts off its worn out bodies and enters new ones. Just as this body, pure existence, the self, passes through childhood, youth, and old age, consciousness itself, unchanged, passes into another body. The ones who know this do not grieve. It is said the bodies that existence puts on are destructible. They have an end. Consciousness, the self, itself remains eternal, indestructible, and incomprehensible. Consciousness, the self, is never born, nor does it die. After having emerged briefly inside a body, it again ceases to emerge. Through that body, the self is forever unborn, eternal, changeless, and ancient. Self does not die when the body dies. Weapons cleave it not. Fire burns it not. Water drowns it not. Air dries it not. Consciousness cannot be cut, nor burnt, nor drowned, nor dried up. It is enduring, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. Therefore, knowing the nature of the true self of our beloved departed one who has merely dropped the perishable body, you should not grieve. So I love this. This is the Sovereign Self, and I will include all in the links. So I feel like that's helpful for anybody grieving. If you just know that the body is perishable, but the self is immortal and eternal, and all-knowing, you become detached from what this is, and you cling to master the self. And it's a really good feeling. I know there's just certain people that are different. Like my mom, she's really tied to the living in a way, I would say. And I mean, I know other people that don't look at death the same way, and I don't I don't judge anybody, but it's something that we have to deal with. And we can either look at our whole existence as a business, because like I said, when you're releasing and you're cleaning out all these people's belongings who are no longer here, you die. I don't care what you had in this temporary body, but when you leave it, you leave everything. You leave everything too. Nothing here material is going to go with you, but your wisdom and what is the self is going to go forever. And I just wanted to come in, talk about that, talk about death doula work, the death industry, a little history on it. It was the embalming of the soldiers that made it more of a business, the embalming fluid, and preserving the body for the funeral, which the funeral homes make thousands of dollars off of families in grief. And just like birthing, like certain parts of our existence are supposed to be ceremony, celebrated, and what the person wishes and what the person honored during their life cycle, and how individuals want to go. So it's important to have a will or power of attorney, as far as written and maybe notarized. It depends on what your state issues, so that your wishes during your time of transition or a loved one's death and transition, I don't like to call it death, end of life, or end of this earth suit, and what they would want to do. There's a lot of people now that are planning having like end of life celebrations before they even transition, just the older generations, the baby boomers. There's ways of not having to get caskets, these expensive boxes that they put your body in, which I heard keeps us trapped into this cycle of reincarnation by being buried in the ground, in a box. And so there's different traditions and ways of going out in ceremony, cremation. There's water cremation now. There's your body can be turned into compost for growing, and just going back into the earth. So I wanted to bring this to your attention and let people know that this service is also available, and I will include my email in this video. I have been working on some digital products, and I believe I'm going to do one in this service industry for the death, because death is so taboo and people are afraid to talk about it on a regular, like if you bring up death, sometimes I don't want to talk about it, but it's something that needs to be talked about. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's a natural part of this reality. And I try to think of some words to use without repeating myself. But yeah, so I just came in to talk about that, and I wanted to share that because this message is going to get to the people that need to hear it. And I am available to consult any family in grief or person in grief, and anyone else who's interested in studying this. I will recommend the school I went to, Death Doula LA, and it's a great program, and I will probably find the link to incorporate that in this description. So thank you. I'll be back. I'm gonna go live with a meditation sound healing, and thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.